Hi, this is Rob Tarlev with Tarlev Fordberry Financial Group. This is the first half of two videos discussing the biggest risks that I think people face in retirement. Those two risks are inflation and sequence of returns. People that are approaching retirement and in retirement, their biggest worry is running out of money or having to cut back significantly on their lifestyle to avoid running out of money. So we find that as people approach retirement, they have to approach their investments very differently than they did during the years of accumulation. The rules of investment and how a portfolio is managed have to be managed much closer to their financial plan than they were in all those years that they were accumulating money. Now, that biggest risk, or one of the biggest risks, as I mentioned, is inflation. And I think most of us have lived with inflation. We understand that risk, that the stamp that we bought for 25 cents is now 60 cents, and the loaf of bread we bought for $1 is now $3. But during our working years, we're able to adjust to that. Our income adjusts to it. It goes up for a variety of reasons, but the increase in prices is one of the reasons our wages go up. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, that pension adjusts to inflation because it's based on the last number of years you've been working, but that's where most pensions stop, that the pension becomes even at that point forward. So with inflation, you lose buying power, you have to use more and more of your assets to keep pace, and eventually you have less and less money, earning money, to provide that money being paid out. Now, in terms of looking at investments, over a long period of time, the only investment classes that keep up with inflation are a diversified portfolio of stocks and real estate. Basically, those have consistently earned more money over time than other investment classes such as cash and bonds. The problem with stocks is in the short term, their returns are unpredictable. In the long term, they're very predictable. When we look at rolling 15-year periods of time, 20-year periods of time, the returns on stocks have been very predictable. They've hit their expected returns in over 99% of the time. And in that small percentage of time that they do not meet the expected returns, they still have returned more than inflation and returned more than other asset classes. But in the short term, they are unpredictable. In 5-year periods, you have about a 50% chance of hitting your expected return. And in some of those cases, your returns are going to be negative. And that's where that second risk comes in, and that's a sequence of returns. That basically you're going to have your worst returns in the 5 years before retirement or after, and if you do, that's going to make a very big difference in your retirement. Had you retired ahead of 2022, ahead of 2007 to 2009, or 2001 to 2003, where we had down markets, your pension, your retirement would have looked very different than if you retired between 2009 and 2012, where we had very good years moving forward. Now, other investments like cash, short-term bonds have very high predictability in the short term and high predictability in the long term. But the trade-off for that predictability is returns that, when adjusted for inflation, are either barely positive or in most cases negative, and that's before even factoring in taxes. So we have a conundrum here. We have predictable investments that will avoid the risk of sequence of returns, and then we have unpredictable investments on the short term that are subject to that very risk of sequence of returns, but also handle the risk of inflation. Is there a solution? Well, we think there is, so we're hoping you join us on the second video where we'll talk about that solution. Thanks for joining us.